Hey everybody, welcome to a Monday edition of the Computer America show. And Ben is co-hosting with me again. Charles Tendell will be back tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about, in the first hour, monolithic dome homes. High-tech living is here with us and now. And so we'll be starting up momentarily. And so relax, sit back, and enjoy the show. Okay, let's see.
What he said. I actually just got an email from Mr. Tendo.
4 minutes until showtime.
What?
I'm assuming he sent it to you as well.
What did he say about
John Oliver?
Oh yes, yeah, okay. I'll try
to. The thing that we tried to get you to watch yesterday.
I'll try to catch it tonight.
Well, no, we're gonna talk about it on the show, so.
Oh well, great. I missed.
You should have watched it.
I should. Well, I was watching a lot of other things, you know. Did you watch?
It takes 4 minutes.
Well, okay. Everybody says they can see you in the chat room.
They better.
Yeah. Okay. We have of course our Marty Winston doing our news tips bulletin. We're gonna have two new ones this week. The first one's gonna be about Castle Wolfenstein. Evidently, it's back. The game is back. Did you ever play Wolfenstein, Ben?
I did.
Yeah, well, it's back in the big time.
3 minutes until showtime.
And the second hour, he's going to be talking about the Seagate backup drives, something new. So that's going to be interesting. Okay. About 3 minutes left to start the show. Yeah, Jack says that John Oliver did a great piece on net neutrality.
Everyone has been saying it's a great piece.
Yeah, I'll see tonight.
And we were bugging you, but you wouldn't look at it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, David. We're going to be starting in about 2 minutes, so stand by. We'll open the show.
2 minutes until showtime.
We'll open the show with some stuff, and then we'll bring you on. Okay?
Fine.
All righty. Stand by. I take it you're working on stories for me.
Eventually.
One minute until showtime.
I missed the net neutrality, but I saw the Worldwide Developer Conference.
That would be something I didn't catch.
Okay. No iWatch was announced, though. Darn it.
I didn't think there would be.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host,
Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
It's Ben again. Hey, Ben, how are you?
No. Ben, not Ben again. Ben.
Ben again. It was a good restaurant, Ben again. Well, you're back again. Charles had something he had to do tonight, but he will be back with us tomorrow.
Of course.
Yes, he will. And it's interesting because tomorrow night's show, I watched the Worldwide Developer Conference keynote today. They have a lot of things, and we're going to be joined in the second hour of tomorrow night's show by Bob Dr. Mac Levitas. Hasn't been on the show in a while, and we're going to be talking about basically what Apple is introduced and how it's going to affect you, me, and everybody else. And it's going to be a good show. That's all coming up on tomorrow night's program. And of course, tonight, as I said, and Charles will be back with that, but Ben's here with me this evening. And in the second hour of the show, we're going to have some computer and technology news, and of course, that's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And but in this first hour, now just before we get started, how was your weekend, Ben? Did you have a relaxing, calm weekend?
Mostly yes. I had a very calm, relaxing weekend. Nothing of note.
Okay, nothing of note. Didn't see any movies. Did nothing. Just kind of.
Nope. No movies.
Well, you're not a big movie buff like I am. You used to be. I remember you still got going to movies, and then I guess things changed, and you just don't like watching them anymore.
Movies, they're so repetitive. And Hollywood has this thing set up where it's just hero conflict done, whatever. it would take a very special movie to make me go see one.
Like what? Ted 2?
No, not Ted 2. At this point I haven't seen one that really tickles my fancy. So
A Million Ways to Die in the West?
Nope, not even.
No. You're a big fan of
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane. Yeah. What happened there? You don't see any of his movies, but you watch Family Guy.
Yeah, he great director, great actor, great voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to go see that movie.
Okay. Did you see Ted?
I did.
Did you enjoy that, or you regretted seeing that as well?
It was all right.
It was all right.
No complaints.
No complaints. All right. Well, to each his own. What?
I'm assuming you went to go see a movie?
What? Yeah. What kind of movie would tempt you to go? Would you be tempted to go see?
Honestly, no idea.
Nothing down. You haven't seen any. All the ones that line up. Everything you've seen is coming up. Nothing. Okay. Cortana on your phone, maybe?
No, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. All right. Anyways, well, so we have an interesting first guest. Now, I don't know if you know this, but we live in a dome home. And
I hadn't noticed.
Yes, in the Carolinas. We live in and actually, my understanding is, I don't know if it's changed since our guest tonight will let us know if that's changed, but last I checked, we were living in the largest residential dome home in the world. And I don't know if that changed, but last I checked, it's still that way. And he's here to talk with us. His name is David South, and David is the president and owner of Monolithic Constructors. And we're going to take a closer look at dome homes because let's face it, the hurricane season's upon us, and these homes are supposed to be hurricane resistant. And how many are considering this technology to be the residences of the future? With her, because they can withstand winds up to 300 miles per hour. They're fireproof, earthquake-proof, so much more. And David's here with us tonight to discuss that and how where they stand and how development is coming along with dome homes here in the 2014. David, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
Good. I thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So am I right? Is our home still the largest residential dome in the world? I know it was a few years ago.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I've built a couple of others, but they've been very large. But one of them had just a huge basement under it, so
that doesn't count.
made a big difference. No, we don't count that.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that we still hold the.
Craig, you can't hold that title forever. Eventually, someone else is going to snag it.
Eventually, but for now, it still is. And so now, tell us a little bit about the background. What is Monolithic Constructors, and what is it that you do?
Well, about 40 years ago, I decided that I wanted to build a concrete dome building inexpensively and fast. And I was in the spray polyurethane foam business at the time, and I realized that if I built an airform, which is a balloon, and I could attach it to a foundation and inflate it, I could go inside of it and spray the underside of that balloon with 3 inches of polyurethane foam, which made me the most insulated building of all buildings.
Well, wait a minute. I have a question.
Then I tied.
I have a question because if you inflate this bubble, if you will, and then the moment you walk inside of it, I mean, wouldn't it deflate? I mean, wouldn't it like all
well,
the
you
air?
have to use a gateway that has 2 doors. One door you open, walk in, close it, and open the next one. And
so like what you see.
You'll see that done quite a lot in sports stuff, where people just use the inflated airform.
Yeah, I mean.
But we're making a dome out of it.
Okay. All right. So it's sort of like a submarine or something where you have to maintain the pressure. So you do that initially, and then once you're inside of it, then you can start spraying it with this material so it will harden, and then you don't have to worry about that door anymore, correct? Because then it becomes solid.
Well, we have to worry about it for quite a while. The first thing we do is spray the 3 inches of urethane, and then we tie rebar to the inside of the urethane, and the air pressure holds it all up. We get the rebar, we go round and round about a foot apart, and then up and down about a foot apart. And when that's done, then we fire up a concrete pump that sprays concrete, and we'll spray a 1/2 inch of concrete over the entire interior surface, and then we let that set up for a few hours, and we come back and spray another 1/2 inch, and we let that set up, and maybe it's the next day before we spray more, but we average about a 1/2 inch each time we spray. And of course, the first 1/2 inch, as it sets up, has enough strength to carry the second 1/2 inch, and so forth, until we get generally about 3 inches of foam. Houses, sometimes we'll do them as low as 2 inches of the concrete, I mean. And then we let the concrete set overnight, and then we detached that airlock that we came in and out. We cut open for the doors and windows, and we have a dome built. We like to let it set for at least a couple of weeks before we really stress it with something. But after 3 or 4 days, it's stronger than you can even imagine.
So that's the shell, though. You're describing the shell. You haven't put furniture. You haven't put paint. You just basically have the shell. So in about that period of time, 2 weeks of settling everything, the shell is complete, right?
The shell is complete,
and then
you go to work on the inside. You pour the concrete floor, or you might have poured it in advance. You pour the floor, you put in your partitions. I like to use steel studs and sheetrock so that I maintain the fireproof. You put in the second floors, again with steel and concrete, and at the same time you've got your plumber and your electricians working hand in hand, so that in other words, you put the studs up, and then you put the plumbing and the electrical in place, and then you sheetrock it, and then you finish that, and then you come back and finish the plumbing and the electrical, and paint the thing, and it's just like any other house once you've got that outside shell done. Obviously, you have to put in the windows and doors,
Yeah.
but you leave frames for them. It makes a spectacular house. Now, you're living in one, I'm living in one. I wouldn't trade it for anything else. They're quieter. They have a feeling of serenity that you can't get with any other house. At least I've never been in one.
They don't creak like a house. This is very true. It's very solid, and it's very the sound is very well insulated. There's no question about it. Matter of fact,
it does lead to weird acoustics.
Yes, well, there are some strange acoustics that happen in our home. I got most of them mapped out. If I can stand, let's say, at one end of the house, and then someone's at the other end of the house, and you just kind of talk or just whisper, it's like they're standing right next to you, either they're the other end.
That's the dome shape, and that obviously, if you don't put the inside works in it, then you really have a great lambasting, highly tuned up building. But when you put the carpet and some drapes and some window treatment and some couches, and it quiets down.
It does.
But as you say, if I want to talk to somebody, I can go strictly opposite of them in the building and whisper in their ear.
Yeah, that is very true. And it's kind of nice. It's very different. For example, on our second floor, we have what's known as the great room, and that's really the main, where everything happens. It's when you walk in, and it truly is a great room. It's the big room, and that's where you really get to experience most of the feeling of the dome. You can see it's like about 36 feet high ceiling. I mean, it's enormous, and it's like living almost like in a cathedral. And we have these really huge windows, and you can look out into the valley, and it's just an amazing experience. Now, our home went up, I think, in around the year 2000 is when they finished construction on it, and then my wife and I moved into it a number of years later. I think around 2006, and did our own customizing and everything. But it's been an amazing experience having something like this. And
something that you really don't realize when you live in a normal house and then you come to a dome home, or at least you build your own dome home or what have you, you really take flat walls for granted. Because almost every wall that would be connected to the outside, all of it's curved.
Yeah.
That part's very true. And it's kind of fun. Today I had two young women stop by, and they have a little TV show that they do, and they said, "Can we come look at your house?" And I took them over and walked them through. The first thing they did when they stepped in is said, "Oh my, this is big."
Yep.
And I'm sure that Craig's had that just hundreds of times, because they don't look as big from the outside as they do when you walk inside.
I don't know. Ours looks pretty big even from the outside. It's a pretty big house.
It is a big house. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, ours is gargantuan. And I think what is it? It's when there's a 6-segment Caterpillar monolithic dome, I think is the technical term for our particular house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I make Caterpillars because they're quite a bit stronger than what we call the Quonset, where it just one curve over the top. The Caterpillar's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And makes a better building.
It does. And with that we get all kinds of nicknames, like the golf ball, the Death Star, what was that? The bubble. I get all kinds of names for these things. People, they want to name something but they all want to see it, and they all, and they go, they're just blown away when they come in and they see how what it looks like. It really is truly amazing.
The guy that owned it before you told me that he said when they first built it, everybody in the area, the subdivision that there was, were really angry. They did not want that funny looking building. But he said after they'd been in it about a year or 2 years, he said they had a neighborhood party. And he said he went to the party and said some of the people kind of pushed him into a corner and talked to him, and they said, you know, your house has raised the value of all the houses in this subdivision by at least $50,000 to $100,000 because there's so many people who've fallen in love with your house.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
It is. You know, I'll reserve comment of neighbor reactions and homeowner associations. I really, because whenever you give people a power over you, they tend to abuse it. I don't know. I think it's just a subject of human condition.
That's right.
And I don't really like that. So, but look. The point is, I think we're past all of that at this point, and we're here, and we just did some spring cleaning, and we've spruced up the home, and we're in the still process of sprucing it up and making it look, nice again. Not that it never did not look nice, but we're just cleaning it up and doing some, household maintenance. Houses need maintenance, and no matter what, you want to keep the paint fresh, and you want to repaint this or touch this up, and so we've been doing that. And Ben's been helping. He's been a huge help here.
One thing you really don't have to worry about with a dome home is, all dome homes come up to, I don't want to say a point because there are no points in this house, but I mean, like, there's no flat roof on it, hence to, a lot of the perks of having a dome home. For hurricane, tornadoes, flooding, rain, what have you, there's no roof to be destroyed.
Yes, that's very, very true. You have something over your head, but technically it's not a roof.
Well, it's part of the building. Yeah. The reality is the combination of the foam on the outside surface of the concrete makes it 10 times as energy efficient as if the foam was on the inside of the concrete. And a lot of folks don't realize that because the concrete acts as a huge battery and holds the temperatures over long periods of time. I feel really bad, though, guys, that about 2008, when the world kind of fell apart and the housing fell apart, we were building about 100 homes a year for people all over the U.S. But in 2008, when it fell apart, the banks were beat up, pushed into the corners, and they were not allowed to finance monolithic dome homes. And so customers that wanted one, unless they had big pocketbooks, had to say sorry because the bankers wouldn't finance them. And that hasn't completely cleared. I've only got one national bank, and that's Wells Fargo, that's agreed to finance dome homes under conventional rules. And so even though I've put a lifetime of work into it and pushed them, and you know how great they are, and Ben's going to be able to live in it, and Ben's grandkids can be living in it. I mean, they'll last for, I tell people, 500 years, if they don't call me.
I'm still working on Ben having grandkids.
Well, it's the fact that banks still see it as kind of like not a luxury kind of thing, but like a risky investment. Dome homes, at least from just from what I've seen with this one, they require so much less maintenance. They're so much safer, cheaper, all that good stuff. If there were more dome homes, I don't think, and that's why we have you on the show, I guess, is just to spout their greatness. If you haven't looked into dome homes, I mean, there are so many perks, so many perks.
Well, I love them. Right now, my main business is building schools, and FEMA, Federal Emergency Management, have recognized that they are safer. And so I build quite a few schools that are the town tornado shelter as well as the tornado shelter for the school kids. And then they saved them between 50 and 75% on their power bill, which means that they're free over 20 years, just the savings on the power bill. So I'm building more. The church has kind of slowed down with the economy falling apart. I build more schools, libraries. We're starting to build more fun domes for hockey and basketball. And,
you know what about things like, for example, Haiti? And I mean, they had dome homes there, or building domes there for people who have suffered huge natural disasters. Wouldn't it make sense to build domes in places like that?
Haiti is a very sad story for me. I really put a lot of work into a plan, and I had the World Bank tell me they were going to fund it. And then 5 or 6 months later, when they were supposed to do the funding, they said, no, Haiti's too corrupt. We're not going to do it. Yeah. And so it's kind of fallen apart. Well, we've gone down and built some orphanages and a few buildings, but not what it takes to really help people. Mm. Now, the one that right now we're negotiating with is Philippines. The Philippines, that typhoon that hit them late fall, took out 500,000 classrooms, 4 million houses, and we're negotiating with them to go build some of those and teach their people how to build them so that they could be safe in those typhoons. They get 24 of them a year average.
Yeah.
Now Haiti has come back. Last week I had a group from Haiti, I had the Minister of Agriculture, and it turns out that Venezuela is going to donate money to the Haitians to start planting fruit trees and trees that are valuable for food, etc., on about 13,000 acres a year for the next 5 years. And they want at least 500 homes and some big apartment buildings. And then the other group are talking about building a 13 million chicken operation. And they're looking to us to build the buildings because they don't want them to be blown away. A hurricane hits it, you kiss them goodbye. And the dome is also extremely steady against an earthquake. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you got any earthquake problems in North Carolina, but it's nice to have, in Haiti, that was what took them out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have we get some strong winds up around here, but we don't feel it. When we don't even know that it's happening. If it's so quiet, yeah. You just
in your house, nobody notices.
Yeah, nobody knows.
One funny story that we like to tell people is when we actually did have pretty severe winds. On a normal house that has corners and sides and ledges and stuff like that the wind can actually catch on, that's what damages in a hurricane, tornado, what have you. In our dome home, though, we actually had a piece of trash that was blowing around in the wind, and we were standing and looking out the window, and we were actually seeing that piece of trash go around one side of our house, go all the way around, and come back to the front, and the wind was just going around in a big circle, taking that piece of trash with it, and it was just, circling our house.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, Hurricane Katrina hit 42 of our domes. We had one that was designed just for that. It was at the DuPont's plant, got hit straight ahead on in the worst possible place. They had 25 men spend the night there. The next morning, they went out to try and mitigate the damage to the DuPont plant. They had lost $100 million in damage on the plant, and the guy turned back and looked at the dome that they'd left. He said it just looked like it was freshly washed. And And we had churches. I had a church in Biloxi that had ocean water go up the street, make the corner, and come back, and pushed open the door and put about 4 to 6 inches of water in on the floor of the church. Well, they drained it out, and pulled up the carpet, and the next day it was the FEMA mitigation center for them. Mm. And that was really the only damage that Katrina did. It was really sad because it really smacked a lot of houses.
Yeah. Had there been more domes there, it would have been a different story.
More safe people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, more safe people.
You know,
but go ahead.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, there would be far less impact with if they would have more domes. And I'm just surprised that more people don't build them. I mean, they're beautiful, they're attractive. You can really make them look like
I would like to think what really drives people away is one part lack of information. You know, they don't know it's cheaper, more energy efficient, you know, all that good stuff, quicker to build, what have you. And also it's more they might see it as a like a shock value. You know, they don't see it as a conventional home. It's more of a, okay, well, that's a fun pet project, you know, but you don't build a dome home, you know, to actually live in, which are both false. But
you know, you are really right. Last year, they had the tornadoes in Oklahoma, you know, that tore things up so bad. Mm-hmm. But we got several schools to build out of it. But the houses, I was just stunned. Our website got about 10% more hits to the website, but not a single person called and said, I want a dome home. And it's really difficult for me to understand that. On the other hand, we've all been married. We know what the women do. Most of the women want nothing to do with it. They want the same house that Grandma lived in. And now I have had women come here dragging the husband and saying, honey, this is what I want. I want the safety. In fact, I had one lady bring her home in and look at the model home, and she turned to him and she said, if you'll build me this home, you can leave. I go, where did that come from? Yeah. She said, he likes to work over in Egypt, and I am petrified in my home when he leaves me. Mm-hmm. But in this home, I feel safe. Mm-hmm. I said, well, think about it a little bit. Somebody could bust a window out of this as easy as your other home. She said, I feel safe. If he'll build me this home, he can leave. Mm-hmm. And
well,
I never did look for chapter 2.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, they could break a window out of here too, but you know, we have an alarm system. You know, so that would happen. They wouldn't get very far.
Maybe the proper technique wouldn't. Maybe the proper technique wouldn't have been trying to make her feel less.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ben. What'd you say?
I'm just saying. Maybe the proper technique isn't to make her feel less safe in her home, but safer in a dome home.
There you go.
Like, well, you're also equally not safe.
It's happening. For me, I get a little discouraged just simply because it takes so long to get the changes. But the changes are coming. I have, as I say, I have women that bring husbands here now. That never happened 20 years ago. I have families that have been in them and around and say, well, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. But it just takes a long time to teach people.
Yeah. Well, you know,
we're kind of slow learners.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're at our bottom of the hour break, David, and then we're going to continue. I want to talk a little bit more. Let's talk a little about cost, what the average cost for a dome home is. Let's talk a little bit about green construction as well, and what kind of energy savings. So, you know, the house can, in many ways, pay for itself, okay? This is the Computer America Show. on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. David South, president and owner of the Monolithic Constructors. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the no hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for no hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my no. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the no, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible no hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. Their mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a News Tips Bulletin review of a new Bethesda Softworks game, Wolfenstein: A New Order. Now, from tech perspective, we first saw Wolfenstein games many years ago on the TRS-80. Many things are improved. This is the first game that takes full advantage of our 2560 by 1600 graphics. The game can go even higher than we can. The presentation is amazing. Now, this is a first-person shooter game. Gameplay is based on a hero soldier in 1960 out to undo a World War II Nazi victory with some amazing, intelligent, kill-anything kind of weapons. There's lots of guns, lots of shooting, lots of getting shot at, plus a familiar game economy of armor, and ammo, and health. This is not a game for people who are unable to separate in-game mindless violence for fun from reality. Bottom line, Wolfenstein: The New Order is a howling romp of a combat-based shooter game. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. I like that. I really did. That pretty good review. I mean, you know, it's a classic reboot of a classic game. So I'm sure we'll talk about that more later on, maybe even on our Gamer Tuesday, since it is such a popular reboot. But in the meantime, we have Mr. David South here with us, and we are talking.
Well, before we do that, let's give out the phone numbers and the call, because I didn't do that. If you want to reach us or you have a question for myself, Ben, or David, 347-884-8881. I'll get you through. 347-884-8881. You can also send us email at live at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive add-on chat room. From our homepage, you'll see there's a button that says Chat Room Video Stream. Just click it, or under the first pull-down menu. It'll ask you for a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the sign-in button in your Java-enabled browser. On a Windows machine, Mac, Linux, they all work will move you into the chat room. And also, sharing that same page is our live Computer America video streaming page. It's up. It's running. And that's brought to you by Otherworld Computing. That's quality products, expert support since 1988. Now celebrating its 25th anniversary. If you have any Mac needs whatsoever, check them out at MacSales.com. Here's just a little bit of a scoop. They've just introduced their Thunder Bay, a pre-configured. Now it was their Thunder Bay. Basically, they had their Thunder Bay 4, but they've now pre-configured it for Soft RAID 5, which actually is faster than hardware RAID. Okay, so that they have that set up. And here's a little thing, by the way. If you anything that you order $49 or over from MacSales.com, you get free shipping. That's nice. Okay, and check out their new Aura line of solid-state drives. You can get a 120 gigabyte solid-state drive for $95. $95. Wow! And for $20 more, you can get the external case for it if you want to. Check out all the deals. Anything that you need for your Mac. Anything. I mean, they have so many different products for Apple. Whether you're looking for memory, portable batteries, they even have their own YouTube channel you need to check out. Please visit them at www.macsales.com. Tell them we sent you, you'll really get some great bargains, and of course the expert support at Otherworld Computing. All right, as Ben mentioned, we are talking to David South, and David is the president and owner of Monolithic Instructors. And David, we were talking about. I want you to talk a little bit about the cost of a home. Typically, to build a home, a conventional home these days, let's say, 2,500 to 3,000 square feet on a home, and kind of compare that, let's say, to building a monolithic dome, a dome home. What kind of cost? If you did apples to apples, what are we looking at?
Well, you got to remember, apples to apples depends on where you are in the country, and
well,
you reach everybody.
Yeah.
The South and the Midwest are quite a bit less expensive than if you go into like Sedona, Arizona, or up into the Northeast, New York and those states.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm just really sad that Hurricane Sandy is still, nobody's getting anything done. The dome home, I tell people, call me and they say, how much does a dome cost? And I turn around and I say, well, how much does a car cost? Because it depends a whole lot on what brand, what series, what new, used, old, whatever. But in general, I expect the dome to cost about the same as a conventional house. Right now, my people are instructed to tell folks in the area that I'm just talking about, the Midwest and the South, about $125 a square foot, finished up, ready to live in. I can make beautiful homes down in the $100 a square foot range, but I haven't got as many options, and you can't use $500 bathroom fixtures and stuff like that.
Sure.
But if the home is one that's designed for you, generally we're about the same price as a conventional. If the home is designed to be energy efficient, then we'll be less. We'll be less by anywhere from $10 to $25, $30 a square foot, because we basically, our building has so much more energy efficiency built into it. If the home is to be tornado safe, now most of the homes, I really don't push people to go tornado proof, because tornado proof requires that you buy some expensive windows and expensive doors. And I tell my family, stand away from the windows, stand away from the dome. You might lose a window, but you'll be safe. But if you want tornado safe, at least you can do it within the dome. It's never going to get knocked down. But what happens is you can lose a window or a door. Now, there are no conventional houses that'll do that, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
Force 5 tornado hits a conventional house, and it looks just like that subdivision up there in Oklahoma. It's just a massive laydown of all the houses except for one dome.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's nothing that'll stand up to a tornado. Now, the dome home, again, if you want to have one that's fire safe, you're going to have to spend just a little more to put a coat of concrete over the outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you can just have all kinds of fire. You can have a forest burn all the way around it. You may get a little smoke in the house from the wind, but you won't. There is nothing that'll burn that dome.
I guess with everything that's been happening in California with all the forest fires and all the houses being burned down there, I mean, you see live news feeds of, you know, houses catching fire left, right, and center. Fireproof in certain areas would make a lot of sense.
Well, we've got homes in California that have been hit by those fires, and they make a horrible mess. They burn everything around the house, and the cars that are left in the yard, etc., but they won't burn the house. And so that part's really, really important. You can go to bed at night knowing that the next day you're going to have a house there. Now, I've had houses where they didn't put the concrete on the outside, where they caught fire, and it burned some of the fabric off the outside, and it burned some of the foam off the outside. Mm-hmm. But for a fraction of amounts of money as replacing the house, you go back and replace the for instance, we'll have 3 inches of foam. Generally, most serious fires will take at most 1 inch of the foam off. Mm-hmm. So you got to go back and scrape it down and spray another inch of foam back on and coat it with a coating, and you're just back to where you were before. But you didn't get penetration into the house.
Yeah. What about things like earthquakes?
Earthquake means nothing to a dome. We had one in Taiwan that was one of their huge earthquakes hit down near. The dome was in an area where they had a lot of conventional buildings that laid all the conventional buildings down, dumped the stuff off the shelves on the dome, but it didn't damage it. The only thing they could tell was after they got it all done, they measured across the floor, and there was about 1 inch of slope, and they figured that that inch of slope was caused by the mountain moving. I was in a dome at the Loma Prieta earthquake in Stockton, California, and that, boy, what a horrible thing that was. I now know why people can't walk. You get your equilibrium shot. Mm-hmm. But I'm in that dome and I'm watching everything that's happened when we got all done. Nothing. Mm-hmm. I went to University of Nevada in Reno, and I asked the guy, I said, well, what if I'd build you a dome and you could put it on your shaker table and shake it? He looked at me and he said, David, what are you doing? Just wasting my time? Mm-hmm. I said, what do you mean? He says, a dome has no moment connections. There is nothing for it to break. There is nothing you can do to damage one. And I thought that was quite fun. Yeah. I quit worrying about it. So anyway, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, we've had them all. We've got about, around the world right now, we're over at 4,000 of the domes for everything from houses to whatever you want. And I'm getting old. I don't expect to put it too many more years at it. I'm going to concentrate on trying to teach people how to build more of their own homes in the third world countries. And we've done some of that, and I want to do a lot more. We've learned that they can do it by hand, and teach them how, and they go get it done.
Yeah, well, it's a lot less. And once you understand how it's constructed and put together, really, you don't need the kind of materials and everything when you're building a conventional home. So.
Yeah, you just have a pile of sand and bags of cement and some guys that are willing to work. We had one group that I taught how to do it, and they went over to India and they built 125 three-story apartment buildings, and they sent me back some pictures when they first got started. As soon as they saw the pictures, I sent one of my superintendents over there and had him take away all our equipment. I said, take it all away, because they know how to build scaffold out of bamboo, and they know how to handle concrete by hand, and they're paying these guys $1 a day. Well, if they got paid the $1 a day, they got to eat. And you go rent a crane, that's $50 an hour, and that's 50 people working for a day. And they build 125 of those apartment houses over there, all by hand.
Wow.
Spectacular.
Yeah, really. So
you and I need to, now, Craig, I want to tell you, I really appreciate, I had to say to myself, why does he want me on the TV show? And I really do appreciate your Computer America show. My website, of course, is monolithic.com, and it has 32,000 pages of descriptions and teaching and everything on it. But I think what you're doing is a real service to America.
Well, thank you, David. I mean,
teaching people about computers.
Yeah, and teaching people about dome homes too. I mean, I live in one. Ben and I and my wife and I live in this beautiful home, and it's amazing because people come by all the and everybody wants to see it, and of course my wife is very private, so that doesn't go over well. But the point is, really, we've had.
It's worth bringing attention to.
Yes, it is, and again, I just encourage people, if you're thinking about building a new home. Wherever you may be, you really should check out the domes, because you're going to save money. They're efficient. They're energy smart. They're green and the energy efficient. You're going to be, and you can make them look like palaces. Really, you can make them from small to extravagant. You can do it all with them, and that's the message that Ben and I really wanted to get out. Just tell us quickly, David, what's your plans for the next in the future, for the remainder of the year and going forward? What's your plans for Monolithic?
Well, right now I'm being wooed by the Haitians, by the Filipinos, and believe it or not, by the Russians. They're asking me for. They asked me today to give them a plan to build a shopping center, 500,000 square feet. That's a huge shopping center.
Wow. Yeah.
And they said, we want better buildings. Said we average 7-8 foot of snow in the winter in the south of Russia, and 12 to 14 foot in the north of Russia. And we want buildings that don't care how much snow we get. And so, kind of interesting. And then the other thing that I'm planning on for the next 10 years is concentrating a huge amount of my effort in grow domes. And what I'm saying by a grow dome is we've learned that we can use artificial light, LED lights. We can use 4% as much water. We grow the plants inside the dome. We don't care whether it's in northern Alaska or the Sahara Desert, and we can grow more food than anybody else. It's fantastic. We can take a lettuce seed and put it in the material. We turn the light on it for 7.5 hours, turn it off for 30 minutes. It's had a day. We do that 3 times. It's had 3 days in one 24-hour period.
Yeah.
And in 18 days, we cut it off and take it to market.
There you go.
It's spectacular. And you and I know that growing food for this world is going to be really high priority, especially with our water supply down in most places. I think you guys, exception, you got a lot of rain there, didn't you?
Yeah,
But
yeah, we do. But I'll tell you what, if this sounds intriguing to you, and I'm sure it must be, why don't you, you can check out everything at the Monolithic website. Just go to our computeramerica.com, click on our show notes page. We have a link to the monolithic.org website, and you can see it all there. It's on today's show, June the 2nd, and you can check it out for yourself. It's up there at computeramerica.com. And David, I want to thank you so much for being with us here tonight. I think you're doing some marvelous work, and I speak as a dome home owner. I just love living in it, and hopefully, we'll get more people to come to visit your website and maybe think about possibly doing something like this for themselves. Okay?
Well, I appreciate it, what you're doing, and I will also, on my website, put a point to you guys. I think it's important what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for that,
Thank you,
David.
Craig, very much.
All right, David, thanks, and have a good evening. Take care.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Bye. All right, there he goes. All right, Monolithic Constructors, but go to monolithic.org, and you can see it for yourself, and we have it again at our website at computeramerica.com. Speaking of things that we want you to do.
Wait. I actually have one before you say anything.
Yeah.
Okay. For everyone watching with the webcam, I'm going to move it real quick. All right? And I'm going to block out some information because it's my information, no hands. But this is something that we all want you to do, and we'll go into it if we have time. Okay, now, Greg, tell me if you can see it. Ready?
Okay.
See it?
I see a screen, yeah.
And then you see the FCC?
Yeah, yes.
I just submitted during that last hour, during the commercial, do not worry, I just submitted a comment on what's going on with the net neutrality.
Oh, okay. And we'll talk about
it. It takes maybe 5 minutes, and I'm sure we'll hit on it during the next hour a little bit. But that's also something we want you to do, and we'll tell you how to do that next hour.
Okay. And by the way, you can display what's on your screen in Hangouts, Ben.
I know you can, and I'll figure that out eventually when I actually have time to learn it.
Okay. All right. Well, now what we want you to do here, if you go to our homepage at computeramerica.com, I want you to check out our limited special offer that we have. Now, this is for our good friends over at ProXPN. And this has happened to not only to us, I know in our Florida home, but you got a notice saying that somebody was doing something that they weren't supposed to do, and
again, it's rather confusing. I don't know when that happened. I mean, these things take a couple months for it to actually take effect. So, but it happens. But it happens.
And it happens. Basically, when you go online, basically, the internet service providers can monitor where you go and what you do. And
through your IP address.
Yeah, and if you do something that exceeds their guidelines, they can block whatever it is you may be doing, or at least warn you about it and threaten to cut you off or throttle you down, or even anytime you access the internet, your privacy could be in danger and you're compromised. Especially if you use an open Wi-Fi connection like at a Starbucks or a favorite bookstore. But again, when you're at home and you think you're safe, guess what? That's not the case. But with ProXPN, you don't have to worry about any of that. ProXPN is an open VPN solution hosted not only here in America but globally as well, like Amsterdam, London, Singapore. So when you're online, you actually appear as though you're located in those cities, somewhere else. Now, ProXPN is 100% secure. I use it. The Computer America staff uses it. The encryption key ProXPN uses is an impressive and very strong 2048 bits. The encryption tunnel is 512 bits. That means ProXPN protects you online and protects your privacy. This was the way the internet was intended to be. Now, here's the thing. If you have an Android phone, ProXPN app for your Android phone actually adds OpenVPN to Android, which it doesn't have normally. So you don't have to use that PTP. That's that point-to-point transfer tunneling protocol. You can, if you want to, because ProXPN supports that as well. Look, we want you to use ProXPN. We all use it here, and we want you to try it for yourself. So whenever you go online, you know your privacy is protected. If you use a desktop, ProXPN has Mac and Windows versions that give you advanced controls to select ports. You can connect at startup. And here's something really cool. You can select which program should be shut down in case your VPN connection goes down and your anonymity has been compromised. That's a very slick feature. So here's the deal. You can download ProXPN for free, right, and use it, but the premium version is so much faster and better. Normally it's just $10 a month or $75 a year, but if you enter in the code COMPAM, C-O-M-P-A-M, you'll get an additional 20% off membership. That's any membership you choose. And once you do that, by the way, that's good forever, not just the one time. So that's less than $5 a month when you go for the yearly plan. Look, you need this, and if you ever go online and if you listen to this show, you know you need this. I mean, this is the best VPN we've ever tried. Again, it's proxpn.com. Again, right at our website, you can go there, just click on the special deal. You'll see it'll take you right to the special ProXPN webpage that they have set up for us. Put in the promo code COMPAM, and again, you can see this all at our website. Just one time, 20% off of your membership forever. It's ProXPN. Get it. You need it. You'll be happy that you did this. You will.
I agree.
There you go. All right, coming up in the second hour, we're going to have computer news. Now, I told you I spent today watching the Worldwide
something called Apple Keynote, Worldwide Developer Conference, something like that. Never heard of it, but
yeah, I watched it. It was about an hour and a half long. Very interesting presentation. Tomorrow night, Charles will be back, and we're going to have in the second hour Dr. Mac Levitas. Okay, he's been a long-time correspondent. He writes for the Houston Chronicle. He's columns for the Houston Chronicle. He is a real Mac aficionado, and we have him here as a correspondent. Very pleased to have him. And he's going to be joining us in the second hour talking about all the new things that Apple announced today, like Yosemite. That's right. That's going to be the next version of OS 10, 10.10, I guess it'll be. And that's going to be the new version of it. And
I know you're going to cover it tomorrow with your Mac correspondent, but don't kill me. Apparently it's been nothing but Apple news all day, so some of the stories may have gotten in there, and yes, we should talk about them.
Okay, all right. Although some of the stories are good, but we got some great stories coming up in the next hour, such as why Google Glass will make school easier for deaf kids.
Mm-hmm. I like that one.
Yeah. Also, we're going to have a story about ASUS. You think of routers, you just think of Netgear and everything, but evidently ASUS, that makes motherboards, they've just introduced a new wireless router. It has so many antennas on it. It looks like a porcupine. I have never seen it. It's
that was a weird one. A
6-stream wireless router. It has 6 antennas on this thing, but it's for your home.
I didn't know antennas. I didn't know antennas, quantifiably equal the amount of streams a router can handle. I thought there was some other hardware. I didn't realize it was just the antennas. Like, more antennas equals more streams.
Another story we're going to be talking about, drones are back in the news again. And evidently, according to this article, the feds might allow drones if you're a filmmaker. Okay, now also other stories, what you need to know about the right to be forgotten on Google. Okay. And also...
You've heard about that, right?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in the next hour. Also, a teeny tiny little infinitesimal PC that fits on the head of an Ethernet port. How tiny? You thought the Pi,
Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi was small? Wait till you hear about this one. This one blows the Pi away. It's tiny. All those stories and more are coming up in the second hour. This is the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network, on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we had Monolithic instructors on the show in the first hour. If you missed that, we had David South. You can listen to it again. We archive all of our shows at Blog Talk Radio. Just head over to blogtalkradio.com/computeramerica. You can see all the programs. You can listen to them, download them, and listen to them. I know thousands of you do, and we're so appreciative of that on blogtalkradio.com. And of course, you can listen to us on the IRN Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network. There's so many different networks that carry our show now, and we continue to expand on that. So that's all available. But what Ben and I are going to do now is we're going to do some computer news stories. Unless you have anything else you want to mention. By the way, also coming up in the half hour, we're going to have another of Marty Winston, editor of the News Tips Bulletin. We the first one we had talked about Wolfenstein, and or is it Wolfenstein or is it
Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein. Okay. Gene Steinberg.
Yes, it's a Jewish name, but it's okay.
Gene Steinberg would argue with you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah. And then this hour we're going to be talking about Seagate backup drives. So that's coming up in the second hour too. So no further ado, let's do some computer news. Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. Let that sink in. Everything at the slimwareutilities.com website completely free. There's no freemium model. You don't, pay us extra and we'll do it. No. You get the full-blown version, all of the products at slimwareutilities.com completely free. Check them out. Download all of them because they will help you to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system, just like it says. Even back it up. The Rec Image product, all of those work wonderfully. We use them here at the Crossman household. We highly recommend them. So check them out at slimwareutilities.com. Get them all. Use them all. You will be very happy that you did that, and you will thank us for it. Okay, so let's start off with this.
By the way, I just I was browsing through Facebook, looking through the Computer America things, and I don't know how often you use Facebook, but once in a while you get these pictures that are just shared, all over Facebook. It has 100,000 shares, 100,000, 50,000 comments, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is a picture of these companies test on animals. Animal testing, and it has all these different companies on it. One of them, it has all your, toothpaste, laundry detergent, all those kind of things. But one of the companies on this list makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me that they test on animals.
What is that?
Tommy Hilfiger. Are they dressing dogs up in clothes and testing them on animals? Are they dressing their animals in polo shirts and slacks and khakis and seeing what the adverse reactions are to clothing? It's oh, this dog is too stylish. We can't have that. This is all, because I know Tommy Hilfiger actually makes clothes for dogs, if you know where to look.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes no sense why Tommy Hilfiger would test on. Like, if anyone has an idea, please,
Let us know.
let us know. But I don't see how Tommy Hilfiger needs to, snazzy up any dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
All right. Hey, you mentioned about John Oliver. Did a thing.
I did. I mentioned about John Oliver. I mentioned something last hour, and what's his name? He's on the show almost every night. What's his name? Charles Tindall.
Oh,
Good
Charles.
job, Craig. I'm so glad you can remember that so easily.
I didn't know you talking
Charles
about
Tindall.
Okay.
I was joking, but okay, apparently you didn't go along with it. Charles Tindall actually sent me an email today to mention this on the show tonight. So if he's listening, here's a shout out. And yes, you can, get your come up and on Craig since he forgot your name.
Yeah.
John Oliver last night. He has a new show called Last Week Tonight. I believe it shows on HBO. He did a great segment. It was like an 8-minute bit about net neutrality and what is going on right now. Now, if you have listened to the show in any amount with myself, I'm sure with Charles has said a lot about it. Net neutrality is a huge deal, and we keep saying it. We keep trying to drive it home. We keep trying to explain it, but I guess John Oliver, he did something that I never thought to do, and on his show, he showed why it was unfair. Again, it's on YouTube. Completely worth the watch. It breaks it down really elegantly, really simply, but it shows why letting companies that control the pipelines, why we should not let them also control the quality of content, the type of content, and who gets that content at what speed. Just letting them have that stranglehold on the internet would be such a bad idea. And he breaks it down, but he actually had the great idea to let the FCC know. And by giving the internet a task, instead of commenting on YouTube videos, on harmless websites, let them go express the hate that is the internet and all the trolling and all the asinine comments that you can think of. Let that be directed at fcc.gov. So if you go to fcc.gov, he actually had the great idea. They are accepting public comment for 120 days, and we're still in the middle of that. So you can actually go onto the FCC website, fcc.gov, and under the FCC, the FCC, you can actually comment on active proposals. And right now, last time I checked, I just submitted mine, but there have been over 45,000 public comments already. And and this is there's going to be a huge demonstration on Thursday with a lot of sites taking part in that. So keep an eye out for that. 45,000. To give you a perspective, just your average run-of-the-mill public comment bill that's being proposed gets anywhere between 5 and 15 comments.
Okay.
So for this particular one, it got 45,000 already.
Wow.
I mean, the FCC.gov, the actual website of the government, was taken down because there's so much traffic on it that it normally doesn't receive. I mean, it just came up a few hours ago. So I mean, if you, the first thing that we are asking the Computer America audience to do is to go see the segment with last week tonight with John Oliver. Go look at net neutrality, see what it's about. I mean, he breaks it down. No politics, no party lines, no nothing. Just why this is bad for the open internet. And then the second thing is to go to fcc.gov and voice your concern, if you have any. I mean, if you're if you're completely for private companies taking over, perfect, whatever, let that go. But please go check it out. It's very important, and it could change the way the internet behaves.
Okay. Good. There it is. And
Craig, I've yet to see it.
I'm going to see it tonight. I'll watch it tonight. I have it on the DVR, and I will definitely watch it.
I mean, I can't even express to you. It's not even, Ben, you're blowing this out of proportion. It's that big a deal. It's a huge deal.
Now, this is the story here. John Oliver wants the internet's worst trolls to yell at the FCC. That's the story we're looking at here as well.
Yeah, that's one that I sent you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Now that video is actually the one that the segment that I'm going to watch tonight.
Yeah, we actually have a home on our DVR. It's the actual on YouTube is 13 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Completely worth the watch.
All right. All right. So that said, let's go to this some of the news stories here, and let's talk about from Maximum PC. Paul Lilly, Asus takes home Wi-Fi to the next level. They've introduced the SIX Stream Stream RT AC 3200 router, and he's calling this is the fastest rated consumer Wi-Fi router yet. Router makers aren't messing around these days, taking full advantage of the 802.11 AC spec, which incidentally is still in draft form. But so that's typical. Ben, before they will ratify a standard, it can take like a couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, but that doesn't stop them.
That's true. That's true.
It doesn't stop them.
It takes a while to get a standard going. I mean, it's that great mix that we have of old technology that lasts longer than used to, and new technology that takes a while to actually flood the market. It's that it takes a while to ratify, but once it does, it's all for the better.
Yeah. Oh, I see Charles Tendell is calling in. So why don't we bring him on the show? You couldn't keep away, could you, Charles?
Well, at the very last minute, I ran across a story that kind of needed to be driven home more so than anything, and that's the net neutrality thing. Ben, thank you for harassing him and making sure he talked about it.
My pleasure.
Yeah. It's fcc.gov/comments is where you need to go, and literally the point that needs to be made very clear here is that if these providers have their way, shows like this one will not exist. They will suck the bandwidth out of this show, and people on dial-up will be the only ones who can actually listen to Computer America. And it sounds funny, but it's for real. If Comcast and Cox and Verizon and all these other guys have their way, you will have to pay to play. Okay, imagine a world where Fox, CNN, White House, Fed, insert other large corporation here, have the millions of dollars in like Netflix to pay the toll to get on the super highway or the hyperdrive speed or whatever that guy called it.
Aren't we paying? Aren't we paying? Aren't we paying now? I'm paying to play. To get that, I got 100 megabits per second. I'm paying them.
Yeah, you're paying to get on the internet. You're paying to get on the internet. But the stream for Computer America, you would have to pay an additional premium to get that stream to actually get any sort of access to a consumer, to get home, to get into someone's house. Meaning Cox, Comcast, so on, they can throttle you back and give priority to the President's State of the Union address, to Apple's WWDC, to the latest and greatest from Ford, from Microsoft, everyone else who pays the additional money. Now, if you want your rates to go up, where as a broadcaster you have to pay to play, then so be it. You're paying for high-speed internet access to the information superhighway. The way you're using it is you're pushing content onto that highway. And if this passes, your provider will charge you an additional fee to broadcast and put that information onto the information superhighway.
Well, we can't let that happen.
No, you can't. So if you're listening, as Ben put it, go out there, use your commenting skills, all of you mad YouTube commenters out there, fcc.gov/comments, insert it. If you're on Cox, Verizon, or Comcast, you'll notice an interesting slowdown. Like Ben, you had mentioned that it was the site had collapsed under the traffic.
Exactly.
Who's your internet provider?
Charter.
Yeah, Charter.
Okay. All right. Here we have Comcast. And when we heard about the petition, me and some coworkers went and did it. Using the business class Comcast, we could not get on.
Right.
We turned on the Office VPN, which routed us through like Turkey. Suddenly we could connect to the website. Now we had someone else who's in the local area who's not on business class, who doesn't have VPN. They were doing it. They went to go and try and get on the website. They couldn't get there. Like they went to submit and it would collapse. soon as they turned off their Wi-Fi and just went on the mobile data on their phone, they could connect.
Well, you see, that's another reason why you should have something like ProXPN.
Yes, there's a good way to plug ProXPN.
Exactly.
Using a VPN, providers can't do this.
That's it. I said that we talked about it earlier tonight. Again, if you get something like ProXPN, you won't have to worry about things like this. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, you still have to worry about it in the fact that, if you have to pay, because right now you pay to get internet access. If this were to go through, you would have to pay to get the information off the internet. It would be just another gateway between you and the information. No matter how many VPNs you have, there would still be that blockage.
Yep. And I mean, if you want a real world example of this, look at all the new Netflix subscribers. I believe they're up to $9 now a month for their subscription.
Yeah.
They did that because Netflix struck a deal with Comcast so that Comcast would not throttle them. And if you watch the video from John Oliver, he shows the same graphic that everybody's been paying attention to. During their negotiation, like right around the time of their negotiation, when Netflix was like, screw you, I'm not paying you anything, the bandwidth for them dropped off. The same day that they came to an agreement, all of a sudden the bandwidth began to increase.
Well, let's see. We got a caller from Madison, Wisconsin, who has a comment. Let's see what he has to say. Computer America, Craig Crossman. Hi, Wisconsin.
Hey, man. Yeah, man. Like, there to be like a bunch of people pushing up against you, man. If you're like chain link fence, man, you're just gonna turn into like meat paste, man. Like, man, what you're supposed to do, like, it's terrifying.
Well, there you go. I think he.
What?
I'm not sure what he was trying to say, but there you go.
I could take a guess in that if you have enough people, pushing you, to pay fees, do this, do that, jump to this, jump to that. I'm hoping I'm getting this right. It was like a pro statement for us. The more people you have pushing against you, to pay this fee, to throttle that speed, do that, you're not going to come out the other side looking too pretty.
Yeah,
I would go with that. Exactly. Thanks, caller, for your insight. We appreciate that. So you're recommending everybody go ahead and file get onto the FCC, is it .gov, and
probably do your research first. I don't know about Charles, but I would highly recommend people look into this. The video that we mentioned with John Oliver does a great job of breaking it down, but you can go do your own research. We don't want you to just go and say this is bad because other people told us it was bad. Look into why it's bad.
Don't be a drone. Go out there, read, do your research. Watch the video. Go out and actually look at some of the references that are made in the video. Like go and read up on some of the actual statistics and some of the things that are out there, the quotes, the documents that have been brought out. There's a I believe there's actually like netneutrality.net or something like that. Just Google it, you'll find it, and it gives the actual information on the bill. There's some summaries that are out there because you really don't want to read the whole thing unless you want a really good night's sleep. Go do your research, but I think it's 120 days from yesterday that they were allowing all of these comments out there, and there are like 50,000 of them now. So,
all right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, Charles, we'll see you on the show tomorrow, and I'm going to have Bob.
Yes, sir.
Bob, Dr. McLevitis, talking about all the things that Apple announced today, and there's
some good stuff that came out of WWDC today.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
It'll be a good one. He'll be with us in the second hour, so we'll have news, and then we'll have because Bob's going to be teaching a class, but he'll be back in time to do the second hour with us on tomorrow night's show. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Fun. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
We'll see ya. Bye-bye.
Nah, thanks, Charles.
All right. There you go. And
Are you
again,
a little bit more pumped about it, Craig? A little more amped?
yes, a little more amped and pumped. Absolutely.
Why this is bad?
Yes, of course. So anyway, we're talking about the ASUS router, and they introduced this new wireless router that has 6 antennas, and I started getting into the fact that with the different specs, the 802.11ac spec is still in draft form, and I started to say that every time before these draft forms get ratified and finalized, it can take years, literally, to get them done. I know 802.11n was the latest one, and that took, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 years for it to finally get ratified, and it was just in draft form. But you know what? Even if it's in draft form, usually when it gets to this point, it's fairly safe that it's going to work. And any small changes, well, guess what? The router that you buy now, all of them really are upgradable online. So that's another beauty thing about the internet with software and firmware. You can get everything updated almost immediately when something. So if they make a change in the draft form, they can just upload the newest version into your router, and then your current. And then, of course, when it finally gets ratified and goes golden, then you won't have to spend more money on another router. It'll still work. It'll have the latest version of it. But he goes on, Paul Elliott from Maximum PC goes on to saying is that ASUS is billing this RT-AC 3200 as the world's fastest Wi-Fi router. And as far as we're privy to, that's an accurate claim. Of course, like all other high-speed routers, ASUS is taking liberties with a nomenclature to describe the speed. This RT-AC 3200 model number describes a combined data rate of up to 3,200 megabits per second. 3,200 megabits per second. That's if you combine the maximum bandwidth available on both the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz channels, though you can't actually do that in the real world for a super connection. Disclaimer aside, though, Paul goes on to say the RT-AC 3200 still boasts an impressive spec sheet. It's capable of up to 600 megabits per second in 802.11n mode thanks to TurboQAM, a marketing term Broadcom came up with to describe the use of 256 QAM, that's quadrature amplitude modulation, and up to a whopping 2,600 megabits per second in 802.11.AC mode. That's the 5 gig band 1 and 5 gig band 4, which is twice the maximum throughput of the company's RT-AC 68U. This is a 6-stream router with half a dozen, count them, 6 external antennas. 6 of them. Looks like a porcupine. It also features beamforming support that I like. I think Netgear actually introduced that. A single USB 2.0 port, a single USB 3.0 port, and of course 4 GBE LAN ports. That's a 4 gigabit Ethernet LAN ports. No word yet on when the RT-AC 3200 will be available or for how much, but it's coming.
I bet something like this, it'd probably be on the higher end of the router, so thinking...
No, the same consumer. Yeah, yeah.
Higher end of the routers, though, so I'm thinking somewhere around 149, 159, somewhere around
exactly. That. I know the Nighthawk from Ethernet is around this 159. And the Nighthawk router up to this one was the fastest router out there.
Yep. But, I mean, it's a weird-looking one.
Yeah, it's with the 6 antennas coming out. It looks a little strange. I mean, the Nighthawk has 2 antennas, on it, and 3 antennas.
So this one's twice as good already because it has 6. 6. That's how routers work, apparently.
Evidently, the more antennas you have, the better it is.
The more channels you get, which is good.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, weird aces, but good on them if they can squeeze more juice out of it. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You teased this one before the break.
Mm-hmm.
I think you teased almost all the stories, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. You teased one before the break, and how Google Glass will make school easier for deaf kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because who doesn't like helping deaf kids?
That's right.
They're very helpable.
Yes,
we like that.
Yes.
So this one is from Popular Science, popsci.com, and Francie Dieppe is the author, and it's taking a little bit more of a personal bent to it. So again, not me, Francie Dieppe from PopSci. So about 7 years ago, a summer camp for deaf kids visited the planetarium at Brigham Young University in Utah. An American Sign Language interpreter sat on the floor with the kids to translate the show's narration. The kids could lean back to watch the stars on the dome ceiling of the planetarium, but they would have to pause and shift their attention down to catch the narration. Up, down, up, down, up, down. The show took nearly twice as long as it does with spoken narration only, and it wasn't exactly the magical, transporting experience planetariums should be. All because they were deaf. I have a cousin who's deaf, so I actually thought this was thought this through ahead of time. Janet Lawler, the planetarium's director, tells Popular Science. Still, even with all of her planning, I wasn't really satisfied with the quality of the show I presented. So she began talking with the other planetarium directors. Apparently, they all talk to each other. Who knew?
Yeah.
Some told her that they use captions for deaf visitors. That won't work for kids who are just learning to read. Then the director at another Utah planetarium thought of using a heads-up display that could beam an American Sign Language narration right in front of the kids' eyes. It was a transient notion. It would be years before Google announced its Glass project. But Lawler recognized a good idea when she saw one. She recruited BYU computer scientist Michael Jones to develop software to go ahead with the head-mounted display and launch a research program, bringing kids in to test Jones' apps as well as different devices. They've tested everything from the rugged headsets originally designed for soldiers to Google Glass. So now Jones and the students in his lab designed their first planetarium app. They've gathered kids' response to wearing head-mounted displays, and they'll present a conference in June. They also hope to recruit teachers to teach deaf kids to try heads-up display in the classroom this fall. Jones has even come up with an idea for a computer vision-based heads-up display app that could help deaf kids learning to read. The app would recognize when kids point to an unfamiliar word in a book, then pull up a video of an American Sign Language speaker giving the definition. In the future, here's where it all ties in. In the future, head-mounted displays could help deaf students in everything from English class to biology lab. Crucially, they eliminate the need to look back and forth between an interpreter and a lab demo or diagrams on the blackboard.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good idea. I like the fact that the Google Glass is a heads-up display. I mean, Charles uses it, loves it, and I could see a deaf kids using this. And
it's just another example of a technology being used for a purpose different than what it was intended. I mean, we saw this. The example that immediately leaps to my mind is the GPS chips, and how now you can put them or at least the scanning chips, how you can put them in your pets, and then through a special service they can scan your pet chip, and and they can bring your pet back to you no matter where you are in the country. Something like that. That chip was not designed for that purpose. Just someone had the great idea to use a different technology for that purpose. And this is just using Google Glass or any other kinds of heads-up display and repurposing it for such a great cause. And that's helping deaf kids, and and they're right when you have to look up and down, up and down, up and down. For an example, with the planetarium, it really takes away the learning aspect, that we all kind of enjoy as people who can hear.
Yep. No.
Get the heads-up display in the video in front of you, perfect. And I mean, how hard do you think it would be to implement something like this?
Well, a lot of the infrastructure is already there, Ben. So I wouldn't think it would be that much more difficult to do. I mean, they have the software development kits. They would have to write something specific for it. But I mean, if Google Glass comes to the general consumer market, and that's still questionable, by the way. We don't know if it's going to actually come out. I mean, they've opened the Explorer program up to everybody now, but having the next version of it after all of this, I'll be disappointed if they just drop it. But questionable.
It's not so much Google doesn't have to continue with Google Glass. I mean, I'm glad they did it, but they kind of showed people that there's a market out there.
Yeah.
For this kind of thing. So Google doesn't have to keep pushing that market. They could wait till other people join in, and then they could step back out. It doesn't have to be Google Glass to be the heads-up display of the future.
No.
But I mean, there's another great quote in here from this article saying, "Imagine a deaf surgeon using the glasses to read and understand what others around him are saying while he's performing the surgery." Deaf people would just some occupations were off limits to them because they needed, the input from the surrounding area while their attention was focused on something else. Just something that simple.
Would you let a deaf surgeon operate on you? I'm just,
If he has his medical license,
I'm just asking.
I don't care.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, well, good.
Let him take my kidney. As long as he has his papers.
Okay.
As long as he has his papers, we're okay.
All right. All right, you're listening to the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network, the Blog Talk Radio Network, the IRN Radio Network, and we've got the news tips. Marty Winston edited the news tips bulletin on a new backup drive from Seagate. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Hello, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a News Tips Bulletin review of Seagate Backup Plus. Backup Plus might just be yet another hard drive, but for the Seagate Dashboard desktop app and the Seagate Mobile Backup app on smartphones. We'll ignore that the desktop dashboard app wants to back up your computer and social media. We'll focus on the handset, and we will note that when you're away from your base Wi-Fi, the mobile app also lets you back up to a cloud drive until you can get back. An email address and password in both the desktop and mobile apps is how access control and restores get governed. Bottom line, we like the idea of being able to back up all of our Android devices to one small Seagate drive. And Backup Plus lets us do that. This is Marty Winston at the News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show, 33 minutes past the hour, and we are doing computer technology news here on Computer America. And, let's see, did we finish the article that we were just talking about?
Yes, right. We finished it, and I was going to...
Google Glass, I think.
Yes, exactly. I was going to move on to Microsoft may not bring back the Start menu until Windows 9.
Windows. Pretty much dramatic Wilhelm scream indeed.
Yeah, exactly. Mike Miller is going to be furious.
Or justified, because he's been saying it for a while.
Yeah. But evidently, again, according to Paul Lilly from Maximum PC, says don't hold your breath waiting for the return of the Start menu. Microsoft did Windows users a solid by bringing back the Start menu button in Windows 8.1, but has stubbornly refused to give back the Start menu for those who want it. Okay, we got the Start button, but not the Start menu. Okay, there's a difference. Okay, And last we heard, the Start menu would indeed make a comeback. The question is when, and the answer might not be with Microsoft's upcoming Windows 8.1 Update 2. Instead, the Start menu may not make a comeback until Windows 9. Oh. Citing a couple of sources who've had good track records on Windows information, ZDNet claims that up until recently, Microsoft was planning to introduce a new mini Start menu as part of the second update to Windows 8.1, which is scheduled to come out in August. Now it appears that won't be happening until the next major release of Windows. The code is in there, Ben. All they had to do is just release the code. Just give a hook to it. But evidently they're not going to do it.
Oh, but that's admitting defeat. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't admit defeat.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was barely more than 3 months ago when Jacob Miller, a user interface designer for Windows 8, dove into the deep end of a Reddit rage against Windows 8 to clarify Microsoft's intent with Metro. According to Miller, Metro, which he candidly described as the antithesis of a power user. I wonder if this is Jacob Miller. Maybe he's really the Mike Miller because he says the same thing. Was a default option in Windows 8 because casual users don't go exploring. If we made desktop the default as it always has been and included a nice little start menu that felt like home, the casual user would never have migrated to their land of milk and honey, Miller explained. Miller went on to say that the casual crowd now knows about their new home, which means Microsoft can begin tailoring Windows for the rest of us. If that's the case, why is Microsoft dragging its feet and bringing back the Start menu? We don't know the answer to that, but it could have to do with whatever redesign Microsoft has planned.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, how so?
It makes a lot of sense because if they gave into pressure and gave everyone what they wanted with Windows 8, why would anyone buy Windows 9?
Well, there's going to be but there's going to be more to it than just the menu. Windows 9 is going to have a lot more in it.
Windows 9 is going to have a lot of, Windows 8 was their adventure into the unknown.
Yeah,
Windows 9 is going to fix a lot, is going to improve on a lot. I mean, live tiles, as much as they were scary and new, I think a lot of people like live tiles. So, I mean, they learned a lot with Windows 8, and if they really buckle down and, fix it with Windows 9, Windows 9 could be a huge, could be the success that Windows 7 was to Vista, or that XP was to Windows 2000, or that 98 was to 95.
We get the point. Yes.
Just want everyone to see that Windows has traditionally had a good bad cycle.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're coming out of the bad and going into the good. According to ZDNet, the new Start menu won't be like the one found in previous versions of Windows. Instead, it will somehow integrate Windows 8's Metro-style start screen concept. I don't know what I think of that. What is this you just sent to me?
Oh, something that we'll talk about after you're done with that story.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty much done.
Are you done with your story?
I think that pretty much says it all. Okay. What do we got?
For everyone not looking, I actually sent Craig an infographic, and this is the driverless technology showcase, and it compares a Google driverless car versus the Neato driverless vacuum.
Okay.
And Neato put this out as a Neato Robotics, and they put this out to kind of plug their think Roomba, but not Roomba with Neato, self-driving vacuum kind of deal. So it's an infographic showing the differences, and I mean, they start off with saying 360-degree laser scanner with SLAM technology enables the robot to navigate dynamic terrain. The Neato does, Google does not. An onboard computer that reads data from sensors to navigate and plan its route. Google does not. Neato self-driving vacuum cleaner does. Wheel sensors measures the rotation to help determine the robot's location. Again, Google does not. Robo does. And then you get to a giant list, and I think this is where the differences really shine between a driverless car and a driverless vacuum. So let's start with speed. Craig?
Yeah.
I think I'll have you do Google self-driving car, and I'll do the vacuum cleaner.
Okay.
So speed.
25 miles per hour.
With the wonderful vacuum cleaner, you go an amazing 0.6 miles per hour.
Okay.
Detects objects.
200 yards, 360 degrees.
While with the vacuum cleaner, 15 feet. Amazing. And 360 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Picks up dirt and pet hair.
No.
Google does not.
Nope.
But the vacuum does.
Yeah.
Has maps. Uses Street View. Makes its own maps.
Yeah.
Take that, Google.
Yeah.
Use inside your house.
Not
recommended with the car. Not at all.
No.
But the vacuum cleaner, very much so. Use it inside your house.
Yeah.
Size. Fits in your garage. The vacuum cleaner fits under your bed. There's a perk.
Mm-hmm.
Seat belts. Car, yes, they're required.
I thought you could let me
Vacuum cleaner, not so much.
You were going to let me do the car.
I know, but you were dragging your feet, so I'm just going to do them both. Navigation. Slam and... Navigation with the vacuum cleaner, though. Slam and bot vision, trademarked. No idea what that is, but they have it.
Mm-hmm.
Laser distance sensors. They both have them.
Yeah.
Cliffs detection. Hopefully in the car. Hopefully.
Yeah.
And yes, the vacuum cleaner does have cliff detection and avoids all stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Number of units available. Hundreds of thousands in use today with the vacuum cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
With the Google car, only about 100 prototypes coming this summer. So there's a number difference there. Charging, Google car, unknown. Vacuum cleaner returns to its charging station all by itself.
That's nice.
Glove box, Google car, no. Vacuum cleaner, large dirt bin. So that's probably a wash. Stereo, car, no. And vacuum cleaner, speakers for audible alerts.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the vacuum cleaner does have speakers. Wiggles into charging station. Not so much with the Google self-driving car. It does not wiggle into its charging station. The vacuum cleaner, it does so, and it does so adorably. Works with your eyes closed. Both are yes.
Mm-hmm.
And last, legality. Allowed in California, Nevada, and Florida, self-driving cars, while this self-driving vacuum cleaner is legal everywhere.
They left out a category.
What's that?
Does it suck?
Well, they actually have that. Picks up dirt and pet hair. And the vacuum cleaner does again, and the Google self-driving car does not.
Okay.
So again, this has been an infographic / advertisement for the Nito Robotics company, comparing the self-driving vacuum cleaner and the self-driving Google car.
There you go.
I think the vacuum cleaner came out ahead. I mean, the speed test, the Google car kind of, whomps it.
Yeah.
But, it's pretty close. Pretty close.
Okay. Well, let's look at this from device, a teeny tiny PC that fits on the head of a pin. Well, almost.
Not close.
Head of an Ethernet port, though, it will. It's still very, very tiny. So if you like tiny things and being online thanks to those tiny things, then there's a new mini PC that you really should take a gander at, and it's called the Asia RF. And as PC goes, it's pretty adorable. Supporting both Wi-Fi and Ethernet connectivity, this teeny little sucker, so this one sucks, measures just 1.06 by 1.38 inches. That's tiny. And somehow still manages to run full version of Linux. Wow. And I thought the Raspberry Pi was small. Well,
it's tiny.
As well as the RJ45 Ethernet port, the thing is the size of the port itself. The Asia RF sports both USB and mini USB ports, the latter which supplies the unit with power. The mini PC is based on a Raylink RT5350 chip with 32 megs of RAM and 8 megabytes of flash. Adorable. Even more adorable, though, is this little PC's $15 price tag. It's only $15.
It's not very big, Craig.
Yeah. Well, for that price, you could pick up dozens of these little suckers and put them together. See, they do suck. The Asia RF was devised as a cheap, all-in-one tool for turning your boring, old, low-tech home into a super smart think-for-itselfer. Of course, to do that, you'll have to be handy with Linux. But with each of these little mini PCs costing you less than a 3D movie, maybe it's time to brush up, I think
I mean,
Charles,
and we've seen computers and stuff like that used from everything like a lot of people took like the Raspberry Pi and they connected them to like doorknobs and things like that, making keys obsolete and turning doors into smart doors.
Yeah. Well, now this will be less bulky.
Exactly. It's just the more you minimize technology, the more places you can put it. So be it wherever you want, wherever you would want a small computer. And again, the power of this thing isn't anything to speak about. What was it, like 16 megabits memory or something like that?
Yeah.
It's nothing to write home about, but it can go almost anywhere.
Yeah, and you have a dedicated function for it. The Asia RF's creators are currently raising $6,000 to take their teeny little creation from prototype to reality over on Indiegogo. Though the early bird units are already sold out, you still only have to shell out $20 per mini PC. I'd get one of these.
I mean, just look at how successful Raspberry Pi was, and this is even smaller.
Yeah, it is.
There's obviously a market for this, and people who love to tinker love little things like this.
David Perry has a Raspberry Pi, and he just goes on and on about all the great things he does with it. I bet she doesn't know about this. We got to let him know about this one.
I think we just did.
Yeah.
Assuming he's listening to tonight's show.
Yeah, exactly.
Never miss a night's show. You never know what you'll miss.
That's true. All right.
All right. Your story done?
That was
Perfect. Tiny PC. Adorable. So from tiny and cheap to free and potentially powerful. This one from dailymail.co.uk. All right. This one is titled "Make Your Own Toy Story." Pixar to release a free version of its animation software. So for 25 years, Pixar has created the likes of Toy Story, Wreck-It Ralph, and Monsters University using a custom-built software. And soon this program will be available for everyone.
Wow.
Individual licenses for the RenderMan software typically cost, RenderMan, by the way, being the name of the software, $500. I know. But from August, amateur animators can get a hold of non-commercial versions of the program for free.
Wow.
So anyone interested in downloading the software can register their interest via Pixar's RenderMan site. And of course, they have a RenderMan link. See where this actually sends you. It goes to renderman.pixar.com. And so I guess starting in August, you will be able to get a free version. RenderMan is a visual effects program used to create 3D animations and graphics. As well as Pixar's own releases, the technology has been used to create effects seen in Thor, Interview with a Vampire, Jurassic Park, I know, and James Bond Skyfall. That's some big names.
Yes, it is.
The California firm, which was set up by Steve Jobs in 1986, if you didn't know, Pixar was started by Steve Jobs. He brought George Lucas's computer graphic division, said in a statement, given the continually falling price of computing, trends point to studios and individual artists needing more and more rendering capacity. Reducing the cost of rendering makes it more cost-effective to expand capacity and generate higher quality pixels. And they have some photos here of just some of the rendered artwork that they were doing. Looks like the School of Scaring from Monsters University and some of the other still shots. If you like Toy Story or Wreck-It Ralph or anything like that, this is the exact software that they used, and you can get it for free.
That's a deal
for personal use.
Yeah.
I mean, if one of the big things that kind of scare people away from learning, something like, Photoshop or rendering programs or something like that, they can't get past that initial huge multi-$100 investment in buying these programs. RenderMan going from $500 to free on a personal level, perfect.
Yeah.
So so if you've ever wanted to learn and use a program that's actually pretty good, I've only seen the movies, so I have never used a program, but it looks like it creates quality work.
Yeah.
In August, make sure to make a note of it. Pixar, RenderMan, free.
All right. There you go.
Yep. I mean, even though I have no interest in it, I might just pick it up just to play with it.
Yeah. You might do something
Make
cool.
my own Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly. Your own Toy Story. Exactly.
You never know.
Ben's story.
Ben's Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly.
I only have 2 toys. It's a very sad story.
Yeah, and they're both furry. They're very cute. Yeah. Hey, we have time for this. Time reports this. The feds, drones. They're everybody kind of worries.
They're dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous. But evidently, feds might allow drones for filmmakers. The story again. Several aerial cinematography companies have petitioned for the right to mount cameras to drones and make movie magic. Okay. Well, the FAA is considering lifting a nationwide ban on using drones for commercial purposes, so long as the purpose is to make movie magic. 7 companies represented by the Motion Picture Association of America have asked for permission to shoot film and TV productions using unmanned aerial vehicles. The FAA said today that it would consider exemptions on a case-by-case basis, acknowledging there could be tangible economic benefits as the agency begins to address the demand. A growing list of companies have requested permission to fly drones over farmland, power lines, pipelines, and oil and gas flare stacks, among other commercial uses. The FAA says the firms must prove that exemptions to the rules will not pose a hazard to public safety. I don't know, flying over power lines and
hey, you never know. They could have sensors.
Gas flare stacks. I don't know.
I mean, let's be honest. There's a whole airspace in there that's currently being used by birds, runaway balloons, and exceedingly tall poles.
I can see.
There's a gap in there.
I could see flying over farmland. That's pretty safe. You might get hit by a cow or something. But, but power lines and pipelines and oil and gas.
What if they had designated areas, like only over city parks, or only over national parks, or only over certain areas, like not suburbs, not commercial, not that or not residential, only in recreational areas.
How about over your apartment?
See, that is really close to spying on your neighbors, and I don't like that. Okay. Not that my neighbors aren't very pretty people. I just don't like the thought of anyone flying a drone over anything I do and taking video of me. But in places where people would go to film something, like a park, national park, I'm stuck on parks for some reason. I could go for that.
Well, evidently Congress is ordering the FAA to set a framework allowing for commercial use of drones by 2015. The FAA will test drones at 6 different sites to see if this happens. Hey, did I mention it was June? What happened to May? Boy.
It fell by the wayside.
Yeah, it flew by.
Oh, and by the way, Mortal Kombat X has been announced, and they have a trailer out. Go check it out.
Mortal Kombat X?
Mortal Kombat X.
Is this a movie or a game?
It's a game.
Ah, okay. So X.
The latest, yes, X. I don't think it stands for 10.
It doesn't?
No, don't hold me to that. I think there have been more than 10 Mortal Kombat iterations. But the current one, Mortal Kombat X. If you enjoyed any of the Mortal Kombat franchise, this one looks to be about the same, which isn't bad, which is good.
Okay.
So that got announced today. It just released 12 hours ago. So, take a look at that.
By the way, this is a spoiler, but I'll let it out. Apple did not announce an iWatch. Oh, God. I don't know how much longer I can hold out.
You need to go buy a watch, because you should not be hoping for that pipe dream.
Well, I'm holding the Moto. That Moto 360 looks really, really tempting, and I might want to get that. But according to Device, a bendy watch should be coming soon, thanks to a fully organic OLED. Did you see this?
Is that redundant?
Yeah.
Isn't OLED organic?
Organic LED, yes. Organic.
No. They said organic OLED.
It could be redundant.
Isn't O and OLED organic?
Well, maybe the original OLED wasn't totally organic, and this is fully organic.
So it's organic LED.
Yes.
Light emitting diode.
Yeah.
Organic light emitting, whatever. Continue, please, Craig.
These flexible displays that use organic LEDs, which is OLEDs, are one of those technologies that scientists have been promising us for years, but never seem to turn into real products. Sure, there have been a couple of smartphones with slightly curved screens, but that's hardly something you can wrap around your wrist. Thankfully, the wait may soon be over thanks to a new type of flexible OLED display being shown by Plastic Logic at this week's SID Display Week show in San Diego. The display uses organic transistors in addition to the OLED, so it is an organic LED used to manufacture the actual screen. And Plastic Logic says that this gives the drive circuitry needed to run the screen just as much flexibility as the display itself. Now all they need is a way to make flexible batteries. Okay. The 4-inch 360 by 128 pixel monochrome display area has an aspect ratio of 3:1, which Plastic Logic says is ideal for wraparound wearables. That may not sound like a particularly high resolution, but it is enough to split the screen in separate display areas, and it can even support 30 frame per second video. Okay. In addition to the flexible smartwatch we've all been waiting for, this technology could also be the key to finally delivering those roll-up tablets that they keep teasing us with. Plastic Logic researcher director says that they are ready to begin production of the displays and are actively seeking other equipment manufacturers. See, there's a OEM manufacturers, other equipment manufacturers that can build products around them. Okay. I am still trying to figure out what that Facebook news showing on the watch face is all about. Yeah. What company starts with V? Starting with V, did Facebook just buy? Yeah, okay. Facebook buys V.
I think it's a W.
Ah, okay. Well, what company with W did they just buy?
Facebook buys wicked amounts of stocks in chocolate.
That's exactly.
Chocolate byproduct.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, leave it to the news agency to look for other people's news in their pictures.
That's it.
But wow, we really don't have that much time left. Is there one I could do really quickly?
I don't think so.
No, I can't.
No, you can't.
We had so many great stories. Just want to hit it at home one more time. It's completely necessary. Charles Tendell had the night off, and he came to my aid to explain it to Craig and all of our listeners that are so diligent. This is a big deal with net neutrality. Go, educate yourself, fly, do something important, my pretties. Go. Comments.
Okay, and there you have it. Now tomorrow, Charles will be back with us, and Ben will be on standby again. But we always enjoy having him here on the show. And
I'm not the hero that Computer America needs.
No,
I'm the hero that Computer America deserves.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately for all of you.
Well, Charles will be back tomorrow, and we're going to have we'll start off the show with computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, and then we're going to have Bob Dr. Mac Levitas on the show. It's been a while since he's been on the program too, but we're going to have him as our commentator, mediator, talking about all the new cool stuff that Apple unveiled today. No, there was no iWatch. Sorry. I can't. But why are they waiting?
They're not waiting. They're not going to do it. There's a difference.
They're
not waiting for the proper time. They're not going to do it.
They didn't even mention the iPhone 6, though. I just don't. I think that they just didn't want to make any hardware announcements. Guess
what? They're not doing the iWatch. You can hang your hat on that.
All right.
You can take that to the bank.
All right. What are we? If I'm right and they do come
90 seconds.
What are you going to give me?
I'll give you an iWatch.
Okay.
That's a safe bet right there.
Okay. Well, as I said, that Moto 360 is looking more and more. Have you seen the Moto 360?
I have. I was here when you were talking about it with.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, it does look good. But again, Apple is more than happy and more than content to third party out their accessories.
All right. Well, I'll probably wind up getting a Moto 360. Hey, that wraps it up. Thanks so much for again to David South from Monolithic Constructors. That was a very interesting segment. And as I said, tomorrow we're going to have computer technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And then in hour 2, Bob Dr. Mac Levitas, who knows all things Mac and Apple, will be joining us talking about what went down on today's Worldwide Developer Conference. And we're going to be talking about the new OS 10 10.10, Yosemite, iOS 8, some really cool stuff. And we'll discuss that with him tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy.
You didn't say it with me.
10 seconds.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, so we're finished with that, everybody, and again, hopefully you will be with us tomorrow. We're going to see you with Bob Dr. Mac Levitas.
And hopefully you go and check out ProXPN, and hopefully you go and check out the fcc.gov.comment/comment and voice your opinion. This is important, people. We must preserve our way of life.
Yes, we must.
It sounds like hyperbole. It is not, people. It's bad. It's bad news.
All right, well.
Bad.
We're
going to go make Craig watch the video right now. You are not alone. We will make Craig watch it.
Yes.
It's important.
All right.
Muy importante.
All righty. Well.
Whatever it is in French, importante.
Importante. Say good night to everybody, Ben.
Good night to everybody, Ben.
All right. See you tomorrow, guys.